Denying a person's human rights is to challenge their very humanity. The wise words of Nelson Mandela. Good morning to you all, my fellow classmates and teacher. My name is Chandra's Pingal, and today the topic I'm going to share to you all is all about human rights. Since, after all, every single person in this classroom, in this building, this school, this country, and beyond has human rights. And, since I, for one, also have human rights too, it is my honor and credibility to represent my knowledge, points, opinions, and my conclusions on this matter. And today, the points we have to discuss is the meaning of human rights, as well as its history and origins. And third, its overall very importance. Human rights. What is a human's rights? I bet every single one of us here has a different meaning in mind when it comes to this, as well as how to use it. Well, by definition standpoint, human rights is the basic rights and freedoms that belong to each and every person in this world starting from birth until death. They apply to you, me, and everyone else regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religious or beliefs, age, personality, way of life, or any other forms of status. They can never be taken away whatsoever, although sometimes an individual or group's rights can be limited, suspended, or restricted to balance competing or conflicting rights, or to harmonize rights with other public objectives, and, most of all, to ensure the safety of other people's rights too. While there are many factors when it comes to the causes of human rights to be violated, it is commonly considered to be either these three. Firstly, government behavior and structure. Since it is represented by ministers, diplomats, and etc., to have the primary responsibility to promote, protect, respect, and fulfill human rights. And you're probably thinking, like, what does this have anything to do with the violations of human rights? Well, hear me out. So, while many countries do have good governments that efficiently reinforce the human rights, some countries, on the other hand, can either be corrupt or inefficient too, in which, as expected, leads to several violations happening to some parts of their communities. Secondly, armed conflicts. Since in recent decades, armed conflicts, even though happening in the mostly far corners of the world, still has blighted the lives of millions of people. Serious violations of international humanitarian and human rights law are common in many armed conflicts. In certain circumstances, some of these violations may even constitute genocide, war crimes, or crimes against humanity. Last but not the least is the economic factors. Since in this modern industry, some shady practices and strategies done by some businesses and facilities can completely ruin an individual or a group's way of life, as well as even their rights, which can be fatal since by any chance the very people who had lost their rights over this would lead them to do the same to others. Now, when it comes to the history or the origins of human rights, let's start first at the year 539 BC. During the conquest of Cyrus the Great to build an empire, he and his troops conquered a once bustling city of Babylon. And after that, Cyrus freed all the slaves and declared that all people had the right to choose their own religion and established racial equality, which after this, many others soon followed and founded human rights in every part of the globe. Until this happened. By the year 1945, exactly after the end of the gruesome Second World War, because many had feared this will once again happen in the future, 50 states had gathered together to, I quote, save succeeding generations from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has brought untold sorrows to mankind. 3 years later, 30 articles that make up the Universal Declaration of Human Rights were presented to the world, acting for the first time as the recognized and internationally accepted charter, whose first article states that All human beings are inborn free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in the spirit of brotherhood. So, after its worldwide declaration, human rights has been further improved as the years go by, as well as been optionally added or tinkered to by other groups to support their own view of human rights. But overall, human rights has never been this advanced or inspired or improved as it is today. And now, let's go over as to how important is human rights. So, by simplicity standpoint, I would say without human rights, we wouldn't be here in the first place. Because human rights has protected and preserved every individual's humanity. It ensures that, no one can kill you, and thus safeguards your peace of mind, gives you the freedom of thought, expression, ensures that every individual can live a life of dignity, as well as giving us the freedom to make our own choices about our lives and to develop our potential as human beings and being able to live a life free from fear, harassment, and discrimination. So, human rights can be broadly defined as a number of basic rights that I'm sure every people from around the world would agree are essential. So, the conclusion that we can draw from this is that human rights are very important. It's the same level of importance as a person's basic necessity, like air, food, water, and other sorts of more important necessities. So without it, we wouldn't be able to develop and survive as a community. So in other words, we would surely perish. So that's why we must give our thanks or our appreciation to the people of the past who had given human rights a place in this world. So in turn, let us use this as a chance to spread peace and tranquility to one another as we can. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening to my discussion. Hope you were not bored. Hope you were not asleep. Just hope you were enjoying this as much as you can. And I'll see you all later. I'll see you all later. Peace.